Shaji! Yeah? I need you to review Spider-Man 2, okay? A lot of people are gonna watch this, so make it good. Could I get some new subscribers? Are you serious? For what? Get out of here. More subscribers. Spider-Man 2 was again directed by Sam Raimi and is the second installment of the original Spider-Man trilogy. In this movie, Peter Parker is pushed to his ultimate limit as he must face his most terrifying villain while also balancing his personal life and his powers are fading. One thing that I love about the internet specifically is how much history you can learn behind a film production. You know, when I was a kid, when I watched this movie, all I cared about was that, oh, I'm going to see Spider-Man. But now, you know, as an adult, I love seeing behind the scenes stories and just how the production was for this movie. And this movie, I mean, it was not short of any drama during production. Originally, Tobey Maguire wasn't even supposed to be part of this movie. Because he had a back injury, they were thinking that, oh, he's just using this as a ploy to, you know, get more pay. So they actually were going to try and use Jake Gyllenhaal to be in this movie. But luckily, Tobey Maguire toughed it out, and we got the movie we got here. It was crazy to me how they thought of replacing Tobey at first because he was so important to the first movie. I mean, he is Spider-Man at this point, so you would think that they would do whatever it takes to try and keep him there. I mean, I'm not in charge of it, so I don't know. Since we're talking about Tobey, I mean, his performance as Spider-Man, this is probably his best performance as the famous web slinger. When you think about a great Spider-Man movie, you know, people always ask me, hey, what makes a great Spider-Man movie? I always say when it's focused more on Peter instead of Spider-Man. Don't get me wrong, the superhero stuff is great. I mean, as kids, we cared. All we cared about was seeing Spidey on screen, you know, seeing the action scenes. That's all we cared about. But, you know, as I've gotten older, this is just me. I care more about Peter. I care more about what he is going through. Not all of us are superheroes, you know? So to see that relatability in this movie just... It makes it more fun, you know? It makes you feel more invested in this movie. With how the MCU movies are now, up until recently, Spider-Man was either, you know, not in the picture or just a supporting hero. I see kids these generations talk about how Iron Man's the best hero or Captain America's the best hero, and I'm seeing too many rankings of Spider-Man's not even, you know, top 5, and I'm thinking, like, what are y'all talking about? Don't get me wrong, I know how he's kind of out of the picture, and Tom Holland, up until recently, is a supporting hero, but people forget how important Spider-Man is to, you know, my generation and even older generations. I mean, he was such a great hero. He is still my favorite hero to this day because of how relatable he is. With Superman, he lives on Krypton, okay? So I can't really relate to that. Batman's a gazillionaire, you know? I'm probably not going to make a gazillion dollars. But with Peter, he's a college student. He's dealing, you know, with mortgage stuff. He's dealing with girl troubles, school problems, and not to mention he's a superhero. So you just feel, you know, yourself with Peter. You relate to him, and that's what makes Spider-Man so great. And that's what makes this movie so great. This is without a doubt the best Peter Parker movie because it shows his problems up in the forefront. While Spider-Man is played perfectly by Tobey Maguire, in my opinion, the best performance of this movie belongs to Alfred Molina as Dr. Octopus. Wow, what a performance. I want to give you a standing ovation, sir. Thank you so much. You know, he completely blows Willem Dafoe's performance out of the water. And look, I'm not trying to, you know, insult Willem Dafoe in any way. It's just showing how great Alfred Molina's was as Dr. Octopus. The funny thing is about Dr. Octopus is that he was actually supposed to be in the first movie, but Sam Raimi said, you know, I think that's going to be too complex. I don't want too many villains in one movie. I just think it's going to ruin the movie. Huh. I guess he never made that mistake, right? What I love so much about Molina as an actor is that during production he was scared that his character didn't have enough depth. He felt that his performance didn't have enough depth, and what I loved about the director Sam Raimi is that he was talking with him, and it shows how much care went into this character. And I mean, that care really showed on screen because, I mean, you felt so much sympathy for Dr. Octavius before he becomes Dr. Octopus. You feel so much sympathy for him because he's just a regular guy. He's actually a fantastic dude when you first meet him. He's just an everyday dude who happens to be one of the smartest people in the world. But until an accident happens when his fusion reactor breaks and also his wife dies with it and he's a ruined scientist, he becomes Dr. Octopus. What was so fantastic about this performance is in the movie, obviously he has an inhibitor chip on his back that controls the mechanical arms. That way he's always in control. But when that chip breaks and now the mechanical arms control him, it's so great. It's almost like they're talking to him. Like, don't get me wrong, obviously they're not talking in the movie, but the way Molina's performing, it's like you can almost hear them talking to him, which is just so haunting and so terrifying, but also so amazing. When you saw that hospital scene, I was terrified as a kid, and the reason why they filmed the scene like that is because Sam Raimi, before he did Spider-Man, was a horror movie director. To see that scene like that, oh man, it was just awesome. As a kid, it terrified me. Like, when I would watch the DVD, I had to skip that scene because I couldn't handle it. But now as an adult, I look forward to it because it's so horrifying to see nurses and doctors get basically torn up by these mechanical arms, and Molina's not even, he's not even awake yet. That's what's so horrifying, is that it just shows how the mechanical arms have a life of their own. Speaking of life of their own, I always thought that these arms were basically CG, but most of the time, these were actually real mechanical arms. That suit weighed over 100 pounds, and Molina was so happy that the mechanical arms were real because he got to interact with them and he got to play around with them. I love this decision by Sam Raimi to make the mechanical arms real because it gives the actor better chances to have interaction, make his performance better, but also it just makes the movie look better. I know nowadays we rely too much on CGI. Don't get me wrong, they look great sometimes. Take, for instance, Endgame, but there's just a charm about having real effects. It just makes the movie better, and it just has a certain charm to it. I didn't talk about Kirsten Dunst's performance as Mary Jane in the first movie because I didn't think they utilized her enough. I didn't see enough of her to get, to get my verdict out on how I think she is as Mary Jane. But after watching this movie, she played a fantastic Mary Jane. Great job, Kirsten. She was so great. I mean, you believe that she's going through these problems. You see the chemistry between her and Tobey Maguire. I love them on screen. They were fantastic together. You believe that they had true love for each other. You believe that they had feelings for each other, and it just made it great. Same thing with James Franco. This is his best performance as Harry Osborn. The way he plays a broken man, who's trying to hunt down this guy who allegedly killed his father, and he's having trouble with his best friend. He's drinking all the time. He just seems depressed. He played that to a T. He played it great. I loved watching him in this movie. All the characters are so complex. All of them have their own stories, their own choices. They're so complex. It makes it so great because you want to pay attention to every character. You don't just want to just pay attention to Peter and Doc Ock. No, you want to see what's going on with Mary Jane. You want to see what's going on with Harry. You want to see how Aunt May is doing without Uncle Ben. You just want to see all that. You never want to take your eyes off the screen because everybody is just playing their role to perfection. No movie is perfect, okay? No movie is perfect. There are some flaws, but they're very minimal. So take, for instance, the CGI. Yet again, it's the same problems I had with the first movie. Sometimes they looked great in this movie. There were a lot of practical effects, and I really like that. A lot of the actors did their own stunts, but then there's some scenes where I'm just like, ooh, I noticed that. But at the same time, it's 2004. What are you gonna do? The other gripe I have with this movie, and I know it doesn't really hurt the movie, but the fan in me hated it. Why did they delete this scene? If they had put that scene in this movie, it would have been the greatest movie of all time. I would have debated it to the end of time that is the greatest scene in movie history, but for some reason Sam Raimi decided to cut it from the final cut. But whatever. Still fine with the final product, whatever. I'm not a big fan of teases at the end because, sometimes I like a movie to be by itself, because if we don't get another movie, then, we're stuck with that tease and we'll always think about, oh, we never got that movie to explain it all. But, this is a great tease at the end. It teases Harry taking over the mantle of Green Goblin when he finds his dad's lair, and then Peter gets his happy ending with Mary Jane, and he does all his superhero stuff, and so ends the story, and so ends Spider-Man 2, and it teases for Spider-Man 3. Look, how I judge movies, not by technicality and stuff, did I enjoy the movie? Was I entertained? Did I think they do right by the characters? Was it a good story? And Spider-Man 2 did all of that and more, which is why Spider-Man 2 gets an A+. This is one of the best Spider-Man movies of all time, if not the best Spider-Man movie. I don't know. I'm going to do a ranking on all the Spider-Man movies once I'm done, so we'll see where it lands, but it does get an A+. It's just a fantastic movie. Guys, thanks so much for watching this video. If you like this video, please like, share, and subscribe. I'll see you next time.